Clash in Paris 2025 opened with Roman Reigns facing the Vision's powerhouse Bronson Reed. A showdown simmering for weeks after Reed swiped Reigns' shoes and paraded them like trophies, while Paul Heyman, now aligned with Seth Rollins, leaned into the tribal thief taunt. Inside the ropes, Reigns answered with a second rope Samoan drop and a clean spear for the pin, collected his shoes, and then delivered the night's most dramatic turn by applying a tight guillotine to his former wise man, a carefully staged on-screen beat that instantly reframed the entire rivalry. The moment wasn't gratuitous grit, but narrative punctuation, a choice laden with meaning for where WWE wants this arc to head, because in one sequence, Reigns closed a chapter with Reed, drew a line under WrestleMania 41, and signaled that his next moves won't come with half measures. Reason number 3. Payback for the WrestleMania 41 double-cross start with the easiest to read, debt collection. At WrestleMania 41, Paul Heyman stood ringside for CM Punk while still wearing the mantle of Reigns' advisor. But the triple threat finish told a different story when Heyman's low blow left both Punk and the Tribal Chief stranded, and Seth Rollins took the win. Heyman's post-Mania alignment with Rollins and the Vision wasn't just a stable swap, it was a philosophical pivot away from the bloodline chapter he helped architect. And the Paris guillotine was Reigns' first unambiguous chance to answer that slight directly. If you view the Roman character as a ledger keeper, every favor, every slight, every acknowledgement noted. Then closing Reed and then clasping in on Heyman makes clean storyline sense, because WrestleMania debts rarely sit forever in WWE canon, and Paris supplied the timing, the audience, and the symbolism to zero that particular balance. Reason number 2. A message to Seth Rollins, the road points. Through me attacking Heyman after defeating Reed wasn't only retribution, it was messaging. The Vision runs on Heyman's strategy and Rollins' swagger, so sending the faction strategist to the back on the same night. The Vision's heavy took the L telegraphs Roman's intent more clearly than any promo. Namely, he's coming for the man with the gold. Roman and Seth's history, from Shield Brotherhood to split to world champions at cross purposes, ensures that any collision between them already feels premium, and scripting the Heyman spot immediately after the pin draws a straight line from WrestleMania 41 to whatever championship stage is next. In practical terms, it informs the weekly show. Rollins now has to respond. Heyman's status affects the Vision's logistics, and Roman's cadence, scarcer, sharper, more surgical, remains consistent with the big fight aura that has defined his modern era. The move says, "I'm not circling, I'm advancing," and that's the kind of clarity main event television needs. Reason number 1. No bridge back to the Vision, Roman burned it on purpose. The most interesting explanation is also the most final. Roman deliberately sealed the door. Since WrestleMania 41, Reigns and the Vision have traded advantages. Some nights Roman and an ally held serve, others the Vision swarmed. But the through line was ambiguity about Heyman's long-term allegiance. Paris killed the ambiguity. By targeting the faction's architect immediately after a statement win, Roman told Rollins' group there will be no reconciliation, no wise consultations, no quiet back channels. The future is confrontation, period. That matters because it removes the last vestige of the old bloodline era from Roman's orbit and signals a self-reliant phase that doesn't rely on counsel to make the call. For the weekly product, that means cleaner motivations and hotter segments. The Vision must defend turf. Roman won't negotiate it, and whatever happens next will be framed as a deliberate march, not a domino accident. The bigger read, is this the end of the wise man era? On screen, Reigns and Heyman were almost inseparable from 2020 onward, an alliance that produced a historically long championship run and a prestige TV-style family saga. The Paris spot plays like the final page of that book. In narrative terms, WWE often marks reinventions by severing symbolic ties. Think of a manager breakup or a faction walkout to make room for a character's next form. If Roman's tribal chief identity was defined by counsel plus control, this new phase appears defined by clarity plus consequence, where the character's choices are swift and personal, and the circle is smaller by design. That shift preserves Roman's mystique as a special attraction presence, while giving him fresh colors to paint with when he does appear. Fewer words, harder lines, clean statements. How the shoes became a story engine. The shoe motif wasn't a throwaway prop gag. It gave fans a tactile through line for weeks. Reed's taunts were visible, the insult portable, and the payoff photographable. Reclaiming the shoes in the same segment as the Heyman guillotine was smart construction. First, restore order, win the match, take back what was taken, then escalate the story, cut off the strategist powering the taunts. It's classic WWE symbolism. Turn a small disrespect into a big hinge, then swing the door open to the next feud. Props work when they become shorthand, and by the time Paris arrived, everyone in the building understood that returning the shoes wasn't just about wardrobe. It was about Roman reclaiming narrative control. Where Seth Rollins fits now for Rollins, Heyman's status becomes more than flavor. It's function. The Vision's identity is style plus system, and Heyman has been the system. Take away the live wire counsel even briefly, and you force Rollins to operate with more volatility, which produces good television regardless of the lane. Either Seth tightens the ranks and becomes more dangerous, or fissures form and challengers exploit them. Either way, the title picture gets louder because Roman's move demands a champion's response. Add their Shield history, and even a stare down feels like a homecoming with unfinished business. The Solo Sikoa variable. Even with Heyman out of Roman's orbit, the specter of Solo Sikoa matters. Fans have clocked the subtle framing around Solo for over a year. Quiet menace, surgical offense, and the visual language of an heir. While Paris wasn't a Solo chapter, its fallout can touch him. If Heyman had ever been perceived as a bridge between Roman's past and Solo's potential future, that bridge is gone. Now any collision or cooperation between Roman and Solo would be bare, not brokered, which ups the stakes and makes each choice feel less negotiated and more inevitable. That's fertile ground for summer to fall programming if WWE wants it. LA Knight, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. Keeping the pot at a boil. While Roman and Seth set the premium calendar, weekly shows need constant heat. LA Knight's opportunist swagger, Breaker's live wire explosiveness, and Reed's resurgent menace give creative three distinct flavors to rotate. Reed, especially, exits Paris with credibility intact despite the loss. He pushed Roman, he carried a months-long hook, and he was the catalyst for the segment everyone's talking about. Pair those pieces with Roman's sharper cadence, and Raw SmackDown can stay hot without overexposing the central feud. It's a chessboard where every move nudges the title story forward. What this means for Paul Heyman on screen. Heyman's strength has always been language, naming eras, reframing losses, and turning setbacks into architecture. The wisest use of him now is restraint. One measured sit-down, one carefully cut pre-tape, one unexpected walkout when the timing hurts the most. That's how you let the Paris moment breathe, while still leveraging his unmatched ability to make a segment feel like canon. Whether he eventually returns at Rollins' side, pivots to shepherd another force, or disappears until a larger reveal, the key is scarcity. Fewer words, bigger echoes. The creative advantages of a clean break. Breaking decisively from Heyman clarifies Roman's next beats. No will they, won't they, reunite teases. No mixed signals. It keeps the character's power centered on intent, not nostalgia. It also frees production to rescore, relight, and reframe Roman's entrances and promos for this phase. Small aesthetic choices that tell the audience, this is new, before a word is spoken. Presentation matters in eras, and Paris gives WWE permission to refresh the look and feel around the former undisputed cornerstone. The three reasons summed up as one through-line revenge for WrestleMania. 41, a shot across Seth Rollins' bow, and a deliberate demolition of the last Roman-Heyman bridge all point to the same North Star. Roman is writing his own next act, decisively. That's why the guillotine didn't read as shock for shock's sake. It read as character consistency, the same measured ruthlessness that defined his best chapters applied to a different target. When a top-line character moves with intent, everything beneath them sharpens, and you could feel that in the building as the camera panned the crowd in Paris. Possible next pages. Without overbooking the map. The most satisfying near-term rhythm looks like this. One precise Roman appearance that forces the Vision to answer on the spot. A Rollins counter that asserts championship authority. And a clear next match pointer that avoids muddiness. Parallel to that, give Reed a convincing TV win that preserves his momentum. Let Breakker throttle someone in under 4 minutes to maintain his aura, and allow LA Knight to keep stealing oxygen in promo time. If Heyman speaks, make it count, no meandering. One segment that reframes the playing field. Resist the urge to stack swerves. Clarity is the commodity that makes the payoff feel earned. Why the Paris choice preserves. Roman specialness. Modern Roman thrives on scarcity and consequence. He doesn't need weekly brawls to feel present. He needs a handful of thunderclaps that reorganize the room. Paris was exactly that, a compact sequence that ended a match, reclaimed a symbol, and detonated a partnership. The less he says about it, the more it speaks. When he does speak, it should be to define terms, not to litigate history. That's how you keep the character's magnetism while letting others carry the week-to-week burden. Fans, feelings, and the line between them. What makes this story sing is that it invites multiple readings without confusion. If you watched for payback, you got it. If you watched for a title trajectory, you got that too. If you watched for the end of an era, the visual of Heyman in the guillotine delivered it in a single shot. The reaction online reflects that range. Some applauded the long overdue closure, others gasped at the finality. And that mix is healthy. It means the angle wasn't one note and that the audience is engaged in the best possible way. Arguing about what it means next. Final word, Paris wasn't a detour, it was a declaration. Roman Reigns leaving Clash in Paris with a win over Bronson Reed, his shoes back where they belong, and Paul Heyman in a guillotine wasn't random shock. It was narrative calculus, setting up 3 clean truths at once. WrestleMania 41's ledger is closed. The Vision has been put on direct notice, and there is no bridge back to the Wise Man era. In practical terms, that means a sharper Roman, a test for Seth Rollins' championship stewardship, a rising temperature for Reed and Breakker, and a renewed premium aura around every appearance the former undisputed centerpiece makes. If the question is, why did he do it? The answer is simple and layered. To settle a score, to set a course, and to make sure there's no mistaking who decides what happens next.